Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Take It to the Max. I'm Steve, Commercial Director at IT Desk, joined today by another good friend of mine, known him a long time, Shane Young from the Chamber of Commerce.
Hi Steve.
Shane, thanks for being here, mate. Again, Chamber, very well known in the sort of Barnsley and Rotherham area, but just tell everybody a little bit about, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, thanks Steve. I'm Shane Young. I've been at the Chamber, the Barnsley and Rotherham Chamber for 12 years coming up, and started my journey as kind of a sales guy really, and worked my way up since. The Chamber, for people that don't know it, it's a business support organisation, looks after 1,100 local businesses, all shapes and sizes, all sectors, and we provide kind of 5 key areas of support. So without boring you too much, I'll just kind of nip down them. It's protect your business, raising your profile, growing your network, the representation side, and the part and parcel is the saving the money. So that's the 5 key areas really.
Sam, mate, no, it's good to know. How many members have you guys got then?
1,100.
About 1,100, yeah. And from what I see, it's kind of it's not just for any one size of business, really, is it? You guys seem to work with anybody from like a startup all the way through to sort of you're probably household names, really.
Yeah, so we say as long as you're a trading business, no matter what sector you're in or what size or what element of the journey you are with your business, you can be part of the Chamber as long as there's a need for you that we offer. It works well.
Yeah. I mean, we've been now 19 this year as a business. I think we've probably been members of the Chamber for at least half of that. And yeah, I mean, it's we use you guys probably for different reasons. I mean, I suppose everybody probably uses it a little bit different, but for us, it's kind of like it's nice to do the sort of the profile pieces. When you sponsor on the awards, get involved with stuff like that. I've done various sort of ones the networking events you guys do sort of over the years. You think there's a common theme that people use you guys for, or?
Yeah, we say out of them 5 areas, if you like, the main 2 tend to be raising your profile and growing your network, and that's quite generic or quite broad, should I say, but there's loads of different elements within those areas. So for example, IT Desk, originally you've dabbled in different levels of membership, from patronage to the lower levels and where you are now in that mid-tier type stuff. So what works for you in the Chamber, and for businesses that don't know what works for them, they dip their toes in and try in different elements to see what services they need, but also what works for them.
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, I think you can see that. I mean, in terms of again, we'll not sort of labour too much, but technology you use within the Chamber. Is there anything that kind of over the years you've seen sort of come in that's made your job easier, or has kind of revolutionised the Chamber as an organisation?
Well, we were quite when I first joined the Chamber, we were quite old school in our systems, our processes, our use of technology. Really, we were quite dated in it.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of an old Sage system that we used, and that's now been updated. We had a bit of an old school website which was just flooded with crap in the background. Which over time we've updated and kind of used to how we should be using it in modern day business, really. So updating website was a massive thing for us, and that's been really good. We're getting more leads through the website, which we've never done before. And then the change in the CRM system and the finance systems work really well. Working with our pals at Kinspeed.
Yeah. Again, another good friend of ours, Glenn, who was on a week or so ago. Yeah, in terms of sort of say the networking side of the Chamber. I mean, what's your advice for anybody that's maybe not a member of the Chamber at the minute and thinking I need to do more in terms of networking and lead generation? Yeah,
networking's an interesting one because historically it's a very slow burner.
Yeah.
It's good to build a strong network of suppliers, of partners, of stakeholders, collaborators, whatever phrase you want to use. But it's obviously also there to sell your stuff, if you like. And we do a range of networking events that are tailored, hopefully, for all personalities. Like I know you well enough, you're very much into the non-stuffy networking. The social element works better for you to meet businesses and build relationships.
I think
with
for
them.
me, I enjoy networking in the right environment. Again, I don't like the ones that, I'm not saying the Chamber ones are like this at all, but I hate the ones where you just feel like you've been sold to from the moment you sort of, you walk in the room. I always like the more sort of organic, natural thing where, you'll ask somebody what they do and they'll give you a bit of an overview and whatnot, but then it's kind of like there's no sort of ram it down your throat. If there's sort of, you have that sort of synergy with somebody to kind of know, oh yeah, I've got that requirement, or, okay, that's an interesting business, I'll ask a bit more about that, or, often a a lot of the time I kind of find I'm maybe not in the market for that product or service, but I maybe know somebody is. So it's powerful from that point of view. It's not always who's in the room, if that makes sense. It's sort of who you can sort of be introduced to. But yeah, I think there's the challenge with network working is maybe not to sort of go with like your sales pitch as your introduction, because I personally just sort of switch off.
They stand out like a mile. When I first joined Chamber 12 years ago, I was one of them guys.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I just think, what the flipping heck were you doing?
Yeah.
Like with my little business cards, being so enthusiastic to sell the Chamber, and people just get turned, and they're spotted from a mile. You're almost like a sales shark. You're dishing out like you're a poker dealer. Do you know all your business cards? I wonder
if a little bit of it, especially if you're new to it, because it can be time demanding, can't you? There's certain sort of networking events that might like take up with travel like your entire morning. And I wonder sometimes whether people are kind of like they're that sort of focused on I've got to come away with something for the time spent, or is my boss going to be annoyed with me that I've been out of the office all morning and I haven't come back with a lead. I wonder if there's an element of that, but
I think there is. It depends who the boss is. If the boss is understanding of networking, then they know it's a slow burner, and you're almost introducing yourself to that person you're speaking to so they can refer you rather than direct selling to them or buying from them. So if you're wanting to buy or sell at networking events directly in a short term, it's not for you.
I'd agree with that.
It's not going to work. But then the boss who employs that business development person to go networking will say, if they're not savvy to networking, what did you get out of it? What were the value? You've been and gone half a day. So how many business cards have you walked away with? I don't think it's about that. It's a profiling benefit.
Yeah.
And it's building your team, if you like, without being too cliche and cheesy.
No, I mean, I say definitely what we do here at IT Desk is we're kind of built on long-term relationships, but there's no way I'm ever going to walk into one of your events or anybody's events or a social on a Saturday and somebody's going to go, wow, do you know what, Steve? I'm absolutely desperate for IT services. It does not happen. There's often sort of a lot of stars got to align in the sense of a contract's got to be up for renewal. There's got to be a bit of a need. There's maybe got to be a bit of a relationship breakdown with the incumbent provider. So it's like they're all slow burners. I think there's probably a couple of people we work with now that I've probably met when we've been sort of your race day or the football events and stuff, that I've met them, and that was it for a long time. I might bump into them again later on the line, and you carry on sort of the getting to know them, the conversation. But it might be like sort of 12, 18 months before you transact with them.
That's what I mean about that slow burner.
Yeah,
it's kind of just being natural, being honest, kind of when you're in that environment.
Yeah,
rather than just chucking business cards or kind of deals on people's desks, because they just get turned off by it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, another one of your events we've done a couple of times now is obviously the Chamber Expo. That seems to have sort of gone from strength to strength really over the last sort of few years. I think it's probably the one event I could probably pick out of everything I go to all year where, again, I'm going to see a lot of people that kind of I know, and it doesn't really feel like a sales fest in that environment. Even again, we've had stands or we've just sort of walked around, but it's a very sort of chilled environment compared to a lot.
Yeah, we're so proud of Chamberlain's business. It's been going over 10 years, and you're right, it's gone from strength to strength. It's easy for me to say that, but hearing you as a member say that means world to us. And this year we started selling stands in on a Monday in February, and they sold out in 2 hours. And it were nuts, really. We didn't expect that reaction from our membership, but it's a good headache to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant to say we sold one of our flagship events in 2 hours, and we're trying to just enhance the experience now. So we're looking at ways we can work with the exhibitors for delegates to book exhibitor slots, so they have like meetings with them and they go upstairs for a coffee rather than just come up to me stand, and if I can speak to you, because it is busy.
I think that's a good shout, to be fair, because again, you can make sure that from an exhibitor's point of view, you can make sure you resource your stand properly as well, I guess. If you know that there's a couple of people already that want a more meaningful conversation, let's say, it makes sense to be able to have that one-on-one time rather than...
What I really like about it now as well is the member businesses who are exhibiting, they're thinking outside box with their stand as well.
Yeah.
It's not just a business card draw to win a bottle of champagne, which is like the old school way.
Yeah.
People are bringing Crystal Maze games and kind of the putting challenges are always fun. And one guy even brought an operation game, Brilliant Co. Brought an operation game just to kind of top score type stuff.
I think like for me, what that screams, and it's like I think it's becoming more and more important. You know, just in general marketing and whatnot is it shows a bit more of that business's culture. I mean, I'm a bit of a big believer that people do buy from people. You do tend to sort of gravitate and want to work with people that you kind of that resonate with you a little bit, or have similar values. I mean, we're really big on culture here, and I know like some of the businesses that we work with a long time, and it's a great relationship, but it's because we're very aligned. As you know, you do have more than one business from the an industry in that room.
Yeah,
and I think it makes sense to show off kind of a bit more your personality and who you are as a business, because you're likely to attract more of the right client.
Yeah. We attract businesses to join the chamber based on our culture, because they like the way we do things, or they like the fit, or they like the members that are involved, like what they see on socials, and all. They like the members involved in our chamber, and that's when we then design our events to fit those needs.
Yeah,
we do kind of the strategic roundtable stuff, which a chamber should do, but then we go right back to doing a curry night, and it kind of fits different people.
Never got to the curry night, to be fair. Yeah, it's one I do keep looking at.
Yeah, it's class. It's just it's a pint, it's a curry, it's 30 businesses in a room, up to 40 businesses sometimes. But it's very informal, it's very sociable.
Yeah.
There's no set strategy of how to network or where to network. It's just an enjoyable evening.
Yeah. How do you cope if you get sat next to somebody you don't like?
You won't at our events. Very generic answer. No, but then it is one of them, isn't it? Like you're not going to get on with everyone you meet. No, that's just life, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
But we're professional at the end of the day. You're in a professional setting, even though it is a sociable environment.
Yeah.
So it's just keeping that mindset, really.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Very, very kind of easy answer that, Steve. Cheers, mate.
No. No worries, mate. Again, just touching on another one of the things we've been involved in quite a bit, which again I think is it's always been a great night, is the awards, Chamber Awards. Again, I think you can definitely see the effort from you guys in terms of stepping that up each year. I mean, I can imagine there's a hell of a lot of planning has to sort of go into that event. I mean, what are the outcomes, or the sort of the business outcomes you want from an event like that?
Just talking about the awards, it's a 12-month project really. So as soon as we've delivered the 2024 awards, for example, we're rebooking the venue if it's worked, or giving feedback. Then we're checking in on sponsors, which you've been supportive of that event for a number of years. So we're almost starting again the next working day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is a 12-month project, and there's loads of work that goes into it. And the budget is the budget. We don't get another 10 grand to spend on the awards. It just don't work like that as a not-for-profit organisation. So it's about how we can utilise the budget best, but enhance that experience year on year. And genuinely, and again, it's easy to say, but I think we step up each year. Like 2024 was the staging.
Yeah.
We invested in the staging to give it that wow factor when you walked in.
Yeah.
We've introduced fairground rides over the last couple of years just to add again that fun element, that social element, rather than a stuffy awards where you sat celebrating and almost clapping for 3 hours, because there's only so much clapping you can do.
I've been to a few of them, mate. Yeah, it can be a long night. It can be
definitely
a long night.
So like the awards are great from, if you look at the businesses that get involved, there's sponsorship benefits, there's entering an award, which comes with a range of different positives, in my opinion. And then if you're shortlisted, highly commended, and even win a category like you guys were fortunate to do last year and the year before, then it's great. And it's almost great for staff morale as well, that you're doing something right as a business, which then
I think
fits in with the values and the culture, going back to that.
Yeah, I was leaning into something similar there with my thought process. We kind of look at it from a couple of angles. One, it's a great kind of thing to kind of turn around to the staff and kind of go, look, you guys are behind this service, and look at the credibility it's got. But it's also a bit sort of leans in the other side to kind of go, well, as certainly regionally, you've been acknowledged as a leader in that particular space. So that's why we've supported it for last few years and probably will do ongoing, because I just think it ticks two of the boxes for me, in the sense of, okay, if we're going to spend some money on, well, it's actually three really. So if we're going to spend some money on something, one, we're getting a profile piece. It's something something to talk about on socials. Two, hopefully we're going to win or get some recognition, which is a great sort of morale boosting sort of with the team. So yeah, look guys, you are doing a fantastic, it's not just us that are saying you're doing a fantastic job. And three, from a marketing perspective, and from when you're sitting down with prospective clients, just kind of say, well, it's not just me saying that we're good at this, it's somebody else external to our business that's saying that we're good at this.
It helps as well. Do you know, on bigger contracts or tenders or whatever, say you're award winning, or you were highly commended at a local chamber awards, there's recognition to that and credibility to it.
I don't
for sure.
Mate. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of that sort of chamber moving forward, I mean, would you class sort of other chambers, sort of, South Yorkshire region, there's you guys, there's Sheffield, Doncaster. Do you kind of class each other as competition, or is it not like that?
Not really. But back in the day when I first joined the chamber, the relationships between the three South Yorkshire chambers weren't great. That's obvious if you were in that time period. But then the way we've worked it now, the three chambers, and it's not a Barnsley and Rotherham thing, like we've all come together as South Yorkshire chambers, and we lead on a lot of strategic projects. We're trying to do what's right for South Yorkshire businesses. Yes, we still sell similar things, if you want to be as simple as that on things, but it's business support within your areas. And for me, if you're a business based in Doncaster, for example, you can join the Doncaster Chamber, no problem at all, your local chamber. But you can also join Sheffield Chamber because you want to branch into those areas and raise your profile through them. But also, I go back to it, it also depends on what that chamber's doing and what that chamber's up to. So we get businesses coming to us off our patch who like the way we do things, or they've been recommended by other members of the chamber because they get value out of it. Yeah.
I suppose for you guys, it's probably the most effective way of measuring yourself, I guess, if members are referring you in, because if you're kind of saying it, well, in Barnsley and Rotherham, there isn't strictly anybody that does what you guys do, so to kind of know that you're doing a good job. We have the benchmarking through the British Chambers of Commerce, which is always useful to a degree. We aren't looking at it too much. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of chambers are big beasts in the country. There's 52 accredited chambers. We aren't boring you. We aren't going down all that, but there's 52 accredited, and a lot of them are regional based and county based. Where within South Yorkshire, it's like almost the flip opposite. There's three chambers in one county. And we all offer something similar, but it's good that we've got colleagues so close to us. And we do strategic stuff together because collectively as one voice, we're stronger in South Yorkshire. I can get that.
The argument has always been, why isn't there one South Yorkshire chamber? And it makes sense to a degree, because one IT desk, if you were a South Yorkshire chamber member, you're only paying 3 memberships, as opposed to some members who are paying 3 memberships. So I see the kind of the positive in that side. But then we do work well, we do collaborate on events, we do work, like I said, strategically together, that there's enough to go around anyway.
I get you. What would you say then, looking forward, next 12 months for, you guys and your organisation, what's going to be the sort of the challenges?
Well, we've just gone, well, not just gone. 2 years ago, we went through a bit of a senior management change. Carrie stepped up as chief exec. We our old chief exec retiring, who did a great job, set some great foundations, and Carrie stepped into that role really, really well, and my role got elevated. So we've got the foundation now. We know where we want to go. We know what we need to do. It's just building that team, that stable team, to kind of get in, so we're all going in the same direction. And ultimately, there's a lot of businesses out there that aren't part of the chamber. So how do we encourage them to become members of the chamber, to get the support that they hopefully need, and to see the value in what we're doing? So we're doing a big piece. We're not doing a big growth sales strategy, but we're doing a big piece around what is our value, what is our kind of USP. Because you're right, we ain't got a direct competitors, but at the end of the day, the chamber membership's not a necessity.
No, you've got to have a good value proposition, really. You've got to feel the value from your membership, which I guess it's probably like I said before, it's probably different for everybody. I mean, who was I talking to a couple of weeks ago? God, you got brought up basically. So Shane from Chamber, don't you?
Oh God,
yeah, I can't think of it. It's somebody that it's basically the export side of things, where it's
Right.
kind of like, again, which there's zero value to me from that point of view. But there, if I know what it is now, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say on. I'll not say the brand name.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, the big thing for them will be help with export. I think profile wise, well, probably sort of just generally in the South Yorkshire area, they're probably not asked.
Yeah,
Do you know,
yeah.
it's
100% right. And that's why we're trying to diverse our offering.
Yeah.
Because what works for some industries, like IT, you can sell to everyone.
yeah,
Whereas a manufacturer of particular bolts or nuts or whatever phrase you want to use might just want to sell their stuff abroad. So
Yeah.
how do we then adapt our offering to help them tap into international markets?
Yeah.
And we do that. That's kind of something we are good at, to be honest with you, on that international trade side. But you're right. We've got to create sector-specific stuff, if you like,
yeah,
that hits every industry. And we're trying to do that. We run a really successful construction Meet the Buyer Expo once a year. We do a manufacturing expo. We've just done a big kind of strategic meeting around retail and hospitality because that sector
yeah.
is struggling at the moment. So we're trying to do things that hit specific industries whilst doing all the fluffy and good stuff that we do in the background.
Yeah. Is there like a particular industry that you kind of look at when you look at your membership demographic? You kind of go, do you know what, we really should have more like representation there? Or is it pretty broad?
It's pretty broad. Like we can home down into certain, even geography. It's not just necessarily industries. It's sometimes geography, and we need more members in that area, so to speak. But we don't want to be a closed book and say, right, our focus is just on automation for the next 6 months, because then we forget about what we are and who we are and how we support every business.
Yeah.
Our retention, it's fantastic. It's in the top 5 in the country at 93%, which we're really, really proud of. But that's because we've got loyal members, so it's making sure we do right by them.
Yeah.
So when you're working with your manufacturing business, like you've just mentioned, oh, did you know you can get that through Chamber? Then almost you become our champions, our ambassadors for us.
Yeah. No, I got you. So you mentioned sort of before we were about sort of challenges and stuff, and it's like sort of establishing the team, getting that foundation. Is there anything that's kind of sort of you've discussed internally that's kind of like, well, we limited budget, there's the increase in sort of NI and everything. Is there anything you're kind of looking at me and kind of go, well, can we work smarter with, like, say, the use of AI, or even we'll not employ in that area because we can get AI to do it, at a fraction of the cost. And there might not be, but
I think we can streamline processes. Ultimately, we are a people business.
Yeah.
So Steve at IT Desk, for example, wants to talk to someone at the Chamber about the membership. I'm talking to you third person like you're not here, but ultimately you want to talk to a person, not necessarily go through the website chat box to get your answer.
Yeah, I've got you.
Because there's a wider discussion piece around other areas that we can help you and stuff. So ultimately we are a people business, a people service, if you like. And that's how we've built our retention to what it is now. So we never want to just take that for granted and almost just introduce AI.
Yeah. It's good. It's fair consideration.
As directly as that. But then there is some really good uses of technology and AI that we can use to streamline our processes. We're still a bit old school in certain areas internally that we can bring up using tech, using AI, and we're talking. We mentioned him earlier, Kinspeed, on stuff like that. And I'm leaning on ChatGPT quite a lot more at the minute because we're recruiting a new marketing manager. So I'm doing some of that stuff. And I'm creative in my little head, but I'm not creative on a computer. So I need to lean on certain areas for that.
100%. I mean, we've got our sort of marketing team here, but what things like ChatGPT do is just help expedite the creation of this. Certainly, like taking something that's sort of generally fairly technical to talk about and just put it in a more digestible format. So it's I think you've got to understand, what output you're expecting to make sure you're getting the right level. In terms of like the efficiencies around just getting the content to a place you want it to faster, rather than, I'm not a wordsmith, and like this before, I'd spend probably so much time on things like emails or things like where I'm kind of like, I don't feel like I'm getting my point across, or I'm not really explaining that in a way that's digestible to somebody that doesn't understand, silly long acronyms and stuff like that. Whereas I think, like say, ChatGPT, Copilot, things like that, you can just kind of tell it the sentiment you wanting to get from it, kind of like make this more like, I think I used this example a few weeks ago. I asked one of the guys downstairs to just basically explain something to a customer for me, and I read it and I was like, I can't send that. It made sense to me, but it didn't make sense. It would not have made sense. But just running that through Copilot, say, almost, can you make this, understandable, less technical?
Yeah.
And, it did it in a matter of seconds, rather than me almost spending the same time he'd spent writing the email, rewriting the email,
Definitely,
to then send it on. So I think there's definitely,
you want to keep your personality.
Yeah.
So how I write an email is going to be unique to yours, because that's my personality and that's my way. But if I want something dumbing down from a technical point of view, which is very rare, or smartening up, which is often, then that's where I think it could be really useful. And like you said, just to speed things up.
Yeah. For me, I'm always like, I don't think AI is in a place where it's kind of like it's really replacing people as such yet, but it can definitely make life easier.
Yeah. We were joking because we talk about this a lot, and obviously it's popular as a topic at the minute. And I mentioned when I used to work at Morrison's when I was like 16, 17, and I worked on the checkouts, and it was just stereotypically full. The checkouts are just full of ladies and gents just putting your groceries through. Yeah. And now all of it is self-service, which is AI in itself. And there is the people element lost, because some people like to go and do the big shop and use it as a bit of a social. We were literally talking about, like, I don't know if last week or week before, about like people use that as a bit of a social space. And it's sad that they've not got that interaction now. But what it's done for Morrison's is their productivity, their performance, and probably their profits have gone up. So from that element, you can't really.
I'm probably the opposite end of that spectrum. There's nothing I love more than like scan as you shop, because
you just don't like talking to people, which is ironic on a podcast.
A little bit, yeah. But it's kind of like, I see it as that sort of trivial job that you've got to do sometimes. So I'm kind of like, especially if it's busy, I'm like, I just want to be in and out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So if I can just sort of bag it up as I go, and then like, you just scan and tap, and you're in the car, rather than putting it all on the belt thing to then bag it all back up. And like, I'm probably the one that gets annoyed if I am stood behind the person who's having the conversation with the cashier, because it's a bit of a social thing. But I'm all about technology for convenience.
And going back to chain, we can only use AI so much in our business, because of the type of business and the size of business we are. But we go to a company I'll not name, but a company that's a member of the chamber, that it's changed their world. Yeah, because of kind of the AI, the robotic side of things. And their industry is very much kind of warehousing, logistics type stuff. So they've lost the people. Yeah. But their productivity now is so much faster, which means profits rise.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, especially if it is that sort of, automation of moving product around a warehouse, or, getting it to dispatch. Yeah. People get tired, don't they? People need breaks. People need, can be ill. Yeah. Whereas a robot will run 24/7. As you look at the videos you see of like Amazon distribution centers, you kind of think, I can see it from both sides. For anybody losing the job in that space, it's awful.
Definitely.
But what that means to like the bottom line, as from a business perspective, is massive. It's like I don't know. I think that's going to be a tricky one for probably a lot of businesses to balance.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it's exactly that. It's the balance. Yeah. So you think of a bank. It was always good to go into the bank and see someone. There's less of that happening now because it's all online, and it's easy to access on your phones. But if you're not so tech savvy or of a certain age, stereotypically, you still want that interaction. And they've done that really well, where yes, branches have closed, but the branches that are open, you can go and speak to your bank manager. But at the same time, for me and you, or someone who's tech savvy, they can just go on and transfer some money to someone or to a business. Yeah. And it's all done through your phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how we existed before.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know, it's mad.
It's probably easier life, to be fair. Do you know, when you look at how easy things to access on your phone? Yeah. Which is, it's an easier life in that there's hardly any stress, because you don't see crap on socials. You don't see this, that, and the other. I
think that it's sort of the whole convenience of it all. It's I think it's just changed society so much, because you've got obviously young kids now. Mine are a bit older, and like you look at how they perceive the world, and everything should be. Yeah. It's kind of like that, and you kind of think, when was that moment that it just shifted? And I can only see it getting worse. I mean, as we were talking before this podcast about sort of the different types of content we create from the sort of this podcast and stuff, and it's like the short form is far more popular than like the long form content, because people just, even down to information they want to digest, they don't want to watch a long clip of me and you talking waffle. They're just kind of like going to see the key point and kind of like, I want that now.
You just got to be careful with stuff like that, because the younger generation are being brought up to do the shorthand stuff, which then if you're expecting from a business to write that professional email, it's a struggle for them. And it really is. And I'm not going to go down the skills route or anything like that, but it is a struggle. But I suppose that's where your Copilot, your ChatGPT can support that. Where they've been brought up to almost have instant access on the phones. And then when they go into an office environment or a business environment, they might not have that professional kind of language, if you like, where which you expect as a business owner. But that's where probably AI, like your Copilots and ChatGPT, can really help.
I think you're right. I mean, another sort of question. I know you guys obviously do a lot in terms of training, sort of in sort of the local area. Have you seen a change in the demand in terms of for the types of training?
Yeah, definitely. So Excel and kind of your Microsoft products is as popular as it's ever been, which it did drop off and now it's back. And we're not sure what that reason is. I think it's because of the diverse range of products you can get now using Microsoft or what have you, that businesses aren't probably savvy to using, like Word, Excel, and kind of your Outlook is all right, but there's loads of stuff you can do with Outlook now. And that businesses probably need to tap into, again, for productivity and performance. So training's definitely shifted. The mandatory stuff will always be there, and we're very good at that. We're very good at providing our member businesses with mandatory training, like your first aid and that kind of stuff. But the other side, like your softer skills, that's definitely changed.
Right, sound. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to leave it there, mate, to be fair.
Thanks, pal.
But so again, no, thanks for coming, mate. Again, always nice to see you. And Nif, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.